Hi, I'm Khulekani Msweli, class of 2001. Okay, one, I'd probably say I'm someone who's quite enthusiastic about life, full of fun, jokes, a go-getter, and a general humble guy who lives in the rurals. Well, it's an interesting thing because I think my brother was already a year ahead of me, so he was at Waterford. So I think that kind of set the benchmark where he was like, it's a cool school, it's really amazing. So I was hounding my parents to say, no way, I also have to go to this school. I actually enjoyed my high school years, where a lot of people tend to say, I hated high school, I only enjoyed when I was in university. I'm like, no, my best time was high school. And fond memories, I think myself and a group of friends had created it was kind of like a newspaper called The Legacy. And yes, it was kind of slightly gossip-led. So, of course, we were constantly in trouble because every time The Legacy kind of was published, we knew that'd be a huge buzz of who did what, where. No, that's a lie. So-and-so did not do that. So we were constantly in a bit of trouble with that. So it kind of made school, I think, fun. The fact that you tell the stories of the students by us as students sharing our stories and what's happening in our lives. So that was pretty much epic in that sense. It's kind of like a light way. So yes.
And so, who was in your friend group when you were in that? And are you still in touch with them?
Yes, it was quite a mixed bag. I was quite social with either my form group, whether it's the form I was in and some of the lower groups. So yes, and we are still in touch with most of the people who were in my form and with some of the people who were in our lower forms. So yeah, it was quite... We did have our cliquey moments and groups and cliques and whatnot. So yeah, I was pretty good. And yeah, my high school friends are still my best friends. That it's possible. Things are possible. Change is possible. Your dreams are possible. Your thoughts are valid. Your opinions matter. So it was all these things which I think when growing up you need to hear. So they were fully affirmed by the institution and just being there. Okay, to start with the fashion side of things, I think that was influenced by the fact that at Waterford I really enjoyed art. Art was like my subject. I did well in it, despite the fact that even in my other, whether sciences and maths, I was pretty cool with those, but my passion was in art. And I remember kind of discussing it with our tutors. My tutor was Mr. Kulo, and thinking of what careers we'll do. And I thought, I'm just going to do fine art. That's me, I'm done. And I remember, I think it was Ramila Patel, who was saying, well, it doesn't necessarily have to be fine art. There are so many things which are in the arts. Have you thought of fashion? And because of course we weren't wearing uniform at Waterford. But yeah, that could be cool. I can draw. I can put things together. Maybe. So I started researching into that while at Waterford, and I thought, okay, great, because this allows you to be a self-sustaining person, like an entrepreneur. Then studied at Manchester Metropolitan in the UK, which was really fun, great. Got to be exposed to so much in the arts. Did my internship in London, and then 2010 returned to Eswatini to set up my fashion brand, Jerem Paul, which I thought, great, come to Eswatini, show what high fashion is about, show what designer is about. And I do not regret it up to today, because I think it was the greatest move, which has led me to be fully involved with my community. Hence why I always say now probably I'm a social entrepreneur, because it allowed me to then always question the things that I'm doing or starting. What is the social impact? Why am I actually doing it? Do we actually need it? Should it? Why am I creating it? Whom is it benefiting? So anything I do then has all these questions. How much? Whom else is it going to benefit besides myself? How will my community benefit from any enterprise I start? And I realized the moment I kind of look at it that way, things fall into place. I'm more happy, and my community gets to see what I do even more, and they get to benefit in my activities. Yeah. Waterford played a huge role. There was one when you're on the Waterford Hill. Firstly, it's Kamhlaba, it's the whole world on that hill. And it builds your confidence, it makes you see the world a bit differently. You learn on issues of acceptance, of difference, that we're quite different yet we're quite the same in that essence. So it was an amazing foundation to build on my general values in life. Fair enough, I think my family built on those values before I went to Waterford, but Waterford just reinstated them and affirms them, and that I'm in the right direction. So I always try through my artworks to really find meaning of our existence in Eswatini, to find meaning in our politics, to find meaning on some of the disparities we are facing, the inequality that we see happening in the country. So yeah, so I always say to people when they look at my work, it should challenge you in thinking what's happening around us. And are you playing a positive part in making sure you're not making our situations worse? So yeah, it's always work which offers an interesting narrative and leaves people hopefully thinking a bit more about the actions they are taking on a daily basis.
So can you tell us a bit more about what you do here and what inspired you to pursue this initiative?
Yeah, so Vuvlane firstly is my hometown. This is where I grew up, this is where I was raised. My grandparents lived here, my parents live here, and now I live here. And because it's a sugar growing community, we are farmers in essence. So the fact that we're in a farming town already kind of say things are at a slower pace. And for me, being here, or fully basing myself here, whether it's Jerome Paul to the design side of my business, or where we're at today at the Vuvlane Food Market, it's constantly enterprises where I had to look at how can I add value to my community. It has constantly been about, Vuvlane always has seemed to have some negative connotation in the general political sphere of Eswatini. So I wanted to bring a sense of positivity to we serve here, we are buying from them, like the goat stew we'll be having. I bought the goat from a farmer, the veg are from the farmers. We are also selling some produce which are made by Emma Swati. So it's about more people benefiting from the spaces we create.
One of the things that you spoke of is like the role of just like the possibilities that exist, and that being one of the reasons why you started this project. How would you encourage current students and other alums as they look at opportunities for community development? How would you encourage them to continue pursuing similar passions?
Yeah, I think, first of all, it's great to even highlight the issue of community development, because community service is part and parcel of being a student at Waterford. So I'd really encourage them to continue in that same spirit. Every student that's at Waterford gets to experience being a part of the WK community service program. So from those seeds, when we leave the hill or anywhere else, it's important for us to continue in that spirit of community service, but it shouldn't be in a sense of, oh, it's just a by the way. It's a matter of all of us really looking into our own communities. We all come from a specific community. despite the fact that in most cases when we go for our studies, you're either going to the US, you're going to Europe, you're going to South America, wherever it is you go to, at the end of the day, you come from a specific community and you also create a community wherever you are. So I'd encourage them to really look deep into those spaces they're in and see how they can be a part of really making a difference in those communities, more especially the communities where they were brought up. I think those are fundamentally important, especially if you've had an opportunity to be exposed, an opportunity to be educated. Those are the communities that really need you to give back. We are Kamhlaba.